Hey, I actually wanted to talk a minute in the car, just jumped in the car here to cut this video, and speak about how much bigger you are than you think you are and how much power you actually have, even though you don't realize it. So my whole thought process happened when I was sitting in the front window the other morning, having coffee. We get up real early, and I usually go in there before my wife does, and then she comes and joins me. And so I was sitting, and the window's to my right, and I look up, and I see one of those tiny lines above the clouds, right? Where you see that small white streak. And at the very tip of it, you could see the little silver dot, which was the plane, right? And I was thinking to myself, because I was in prayerful thought every morning as I do, and just doing my studies, and I was just thinking about all the things I want in my life to change, all the goals that I have. And you start to look at life, if you're not careful, and it almost feels like, and we've trained on this extensively, but that you are a thermometer just telling everybody the temperature. But you forget that you're a thermostat and you can change the temperature. The most miserable person in the world is somebody that tells you how cold it is, how hot it is, how much money they have or they don't have, why they're stuck in their house, why they're stuck in a destructive relationship, why they're stuck in their dead-end job, why this happened to them. But people that realize that they're thermostats can say, hang on a second, I don't like the temperature, and they change it. And so those are the thoughts that I was having, and there's a list and my goals. And so I look up and I see that plane. I think to myself, okay, they are probably 5.5, 6 miles in the sky. And, they're going 550 miles an hour probably. And in that plane, there's a few hundred seats. And in that seat, or in one of those seats, there's a person that's, 5 feet, 6 feet tall. And in their brain, right, which is that big, right, the size of two fists, they have the capacity to change the world, be seen by the world, speak to the world. They can invent an idea or a concept that changes the world. They can create companies. The very plane that they were flying in was designed, and all the concepts and the technologies, which there's thousands of them within the plane, was designed by the very brain, right? That is so small compared to the whole world. And it's incredible how God's created us to have that kind of power, destructive or positive. And you think about just historically the people that have done amazing things and changed the world, and it all came from that brain, that size. Or the people that have done such destructive and horrific things, and it all came from that brain, that size, and the heart. And you think about your house and where you live and the circumstances going on around you, and you go, you mean to tell me, as a person, as an individual that's walking around, I have been given the power and the ability to change everything in my life, invent what needs to be invented. If there's not a way, I can create it. If something is unknown, I can discover it. If I need to go somewhere, I can travel to it. And on your entrepreneurial journey, obviously you want to be financially free. People would be crazy not to. Residual income and passive income is king. It just is. Changing hours for dollars, you can only change so many hours for so many dollars. And unless you are getting paid so many dollars for every hour, but it needs to be just an astonishingly high amount to justify it. And, concepts like, any man can count the seeds in an apple, but God can count the apples in a seed. You think about the potential of a seed, and how when a farmer has taken a seed and plants it in the ground and allows the ground and the potential of the seed to be properly cared for, that seed creates a tree that has a few hundred more apples on it, not just once, but every single year. Each one of those apples have 9 to 10 seeds in them? You start to do math like that. You start to harvest the seed. You eat the fruit, harvest the seeds. a few generations of trees later, you can't even cover or count the acres that it has tapped into. And see, tapping into possibility like that, as that farmer is driving down the road through acres and miles of his hill-covered, his tree-covered hills, right, back and forth, does he feel guilty because every minute and every second the trees are growing a little stronger, the apples are getting a little juicier? No, because he tapped into the power of the seed and he's tapped into the potential of it. And he's now living off of the harvest and the power of the seed itself that's doing the work. He is just a caretaker of it. And one of the big things that I want for everybody that is in contact with anything that we do is I want you to immediately, and I say immediately, sometimes it doesn't happen immediately, but I want you to quickly start to see, hold on a minute. A very natural way of thinking is to say, I have one apple, look at the seeds and just kind of spit them out. And then soon afterwards say, oh, I'm hungry again. And unfortunately, that's what the world does. When you can start looking at leverage, when you can start thinking about the power in the seed, when you can start thinking about the size that you actually are compared to this vast world. I mean, there's two planes right now above me doing the very thing. One's going this way, one's going that way, and they're probably 3,000 feet above each other. And they're flying like this, crossways. And there's probably, 200 people represented in the sky in that one spot. And any one of them can change the world. Every one of them are changing the world. Just depends on how big their world is. They may be changing nobody's world. They may be destroying people's worlds and destroying their own. You have to realize that you are far more capable. You've been given far more power. Your mind, your ability to invent, your ability to fix problems, as I said. And I heard a really fantastic pastor one time. He said, listen, there's not a mess that you're in. Doesn't matter the size of it. I don't care. He says, there's not a mess that you're in that 10 consecutive interconnected decisions put together in the right order can't quickly get you out of your mess in no time. And for those of you that have decided to step into the entrepreneurial journey where you want your money and time serving you, because remember, that's what's supposed to happen. Time is supposed to serve you. Money is supposed to serve you. You are not supposed to serve money. You are not supposed to serve time. Do you know even those concepts right there, if somebody gets it suddenly, they can't see life the same. People ask us about our income all the time. And, you have to be diplomatic, and we don't make income claims. But we've made lifetimes of income, multiple lifetimes of income. Every year we make lifetimes of income. When you look at the averages and above averages and all the different stuff out there. And as great as that is, and it is great, it's not enough just to be the one that has maybe learned a few of those lessons. Not completely, not to the degree that I want. I have very big goals, folks. Very big goals. I have stuff on my dream board. I have stuff on my screensaver. I have stuff on my phone that is so uncomfortable for me to believe for. It's so unnatural. It is so big. It's so far beyond what I could write a check for that it almost causes me to reject it. But that's what I choose to put around me all the time. Stuff that rattles my mind, rattles my concepts, rattles my comfort zone to the degree that, being grateful is proper. Being dissatisfied, not in a negative way, but meaning not to settle, is a good thing. People think that being dissatisfied because you don't want to settle and there's more for you out there, they don't usually think it through that far. They go, oh, I just need to be thankful for what I have. And if I'm uncomfortable or dissatisfied, well, that's greedy. That's wrong. I shouldn't do that. I should just be thankful for where I am. And then they chop off the rest of it rather than saying, you know what, my dissatisfaction is a good thing because it's forcing me to think bigger so I can grow more, so I can make a difference. Because what does it even say scripturally? A righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children, and for his children's children. Who's thinking about legacy or inheritance? Most people are trying to pay the rent, pay the bills. Can we afford to get a little bit bigger truck, a little bit larger house, a little bit faster car, a little bit cooler handbag? You think we can take a vacation? That's not where you're supposed to live. And so my desire is that I help rattle your mind so you go, wait a minute, here I am, and in this body, standing here where there's trees and buildings, and I can make a decision and change everything in my life. You are not stuck. And if people's opinions have gotten in your head, or what people think, what box you should fit in, or how most people like you where you are because you're right where they are, and if you change, it makes them uncomfortable. I know it's not that simple, but people have a very hard time encouraging you to do greatness when they themselves have settled. People's opinions don't cash at the bank. You are not stuck. And I want you to realize, just like the people in that plane, that high in the sky compared to the vast sky and the limitlessness of space, you have the capacity to conquer all of it. I'll see you in the next video.